Hello, my YouTube family, and welcome back to my channel. As promised, this next video is the nail art that I did. As you saw me plan it out in my last video, and we'll just go through and talk about things that I do. I'll probably be jumping in and out on this video because it is pretty long, as you can see. So thank you for hanging in there with me. I know. I try not to have longer videos, but I did so much nail art. So of course, some of these are very sped up and different things like that. And I also show you how I did the thumbnail because I only did four pieces of fruit. But there are some things that I wanted to explain and just kind of go through. So for each nail, I do a base color. So for this watermelon color, I did go ahead and just I actually had to do 3 coats of this pink because I didn't want it to be see-through at all, but this pink is really, really pretty. I really like it, and this is just to kind of show you how well these Rosalind polishes apply. So thank you again to Rosalind for sending all of these to me. I really enjoyed this nail kit, and the links are down below of everything I used again. Very, very pretty, but you can also save 5% off with the coupon code that they provided me for their gel polishes. But let's go ahead and get into this nail art. So I really had a lot of fun doing this. So for the watermelon, I did decide to go in with the dark green and outline the nail just like you would like the comic book nails. And I did that for every single nail except for the strawberry. It's the only one that I didn't outline, and there are definitely things I would have changed about that nail, but I did not want to start over, so I just left it in here the way that it is. So I do cure a lot, of course. I cure in between layers for 60 seconds. If it was like a really dark color like this green or a darker color like this green. And I also do 2 coats around the outside edge just to make sure that it, comes through really well if it wasn't dark enough. So yeah, this isn't painstaking. Like, this is actually the easiest part of the process, but this watermelon nail, like I mentioned, was my favorite. So if you would comment down below what your favorite fruit was that I did. But I also wanted to do some fruits that were different, like the kiwi and the grapes. You just don't really see those very often when people are doing fruity nail art. So I just want to be different. I always like to try different things, but the watermelon did ultimately end up being my fave. So there's that. But then this color, this light green color, 383, I actually ended up using this color across all of the nails, and I really, really like this green. It just kind of helped tie everything together. So even though they're all different fruits, I did use it on every single nail except for the grapes. So yeah, that was a good way to, like I mentioned, tie everything together. And then of course I use the black and the white because they are comic book nails, and you'll kind of see how I outline and do all of that stuff. So after I go on with this light green, I am going to go in and make the outline of the watermelon. I did have to do this a couple of times. I couldn't decide if I wanted to do it in the dark green color or if I wanted to do it with black, but ultimately I ended up going with black. And once that was done, then I went in and I did the seeds, but I wanted them to look kind of cartoonish. So I did go in and make my dots with my dotting tool, and then I took my brush and I slowly made sure they look like, I slowly drug the paint out so that way they would look like a teardrop. And that ended up looking really cute. One of my favorite parts. And then after I'm done with this part, I do cure it, like I mentioned, for 30 to 60 seconds. And then I also go in and put a white dot to kind of accent the seeds as well. Yes, this part was time consuming, and you can see I did go in after I did the original line around the edge of the watermelon and make it a little bit thicker. But I love these brushes. I got them from Amazon, and I have been using them ever since I got them on almost every single set. That includes like Frenchies or nail art. So I really, really like these brushes and the quality of them. I use alcohol to clean my brush in between colors, and it's just regular isopropyl 70% alcohol, and it as dry, it can, of course, can dry your bristles out and things like that, but you can always run your bristles through some base coat, and that will help soften them back up and bring them back into shape. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, they're just really, really nice. So as you can see, I was able to get that really thin line initially, and then now I'm going in and I'm outlining the edges. So this part of comic book nails, to me, in my mind, is pretty simple. But you can also see I went in with the light green around the bottom of the nail as well. And I just kind of felt like that tied it into the top, like if the watermelon was like cut open, it's kind of what the middle would look like. So yeah, I really love how this one turned out. And then I just put accents. Now, normally I don't do the white accents on my comic book nails, but I just felt like they were really necessary in this set. And so I did go in with the white as well, because there was so much of the nail that did not have a design on it, that was just open. So yeah, it just ended up looking really, really, really cute. For each nail, I also show you what colors that I used for each set, or what I intended on using, but some of them I do change, like the strawberry. And this was actually my least favorite nail, because I was kind of looking at the red and I was like, wow, that red is really dark compared to the other nails. And so yeah, didn't really like it. Just wasn't really feeling it after I started doing the nail art, but I do the best I can. So I think it still ended up turning out nice, but it wasn't as cartoonish or comic book-ish as I was going for. And I tried to use minimal colors, because that's kind of what pop art is like, or is about. It's where like using just vivid minimal colors to really make them pop and stand out against like the background and different things like that, or against the other colors, along with the outlines. So I still try to follow that through the strawberry process, but one thing I would have changed is, since the background is so dark, I probably should have outlined the entire nail in this light green. And then I probably should have done the outline of the strawberry in like the light pink that I use, instead of outlining the nail with the light pink. So that way, I did end up doing the line in black, and then it was like perfect the first time I did it, so I didn't want to change it. And then I just kept going with it, and I was like, not really feeling it after a while. So, and then to do the strawberry seeds, I didn't really like those. I felt like they were kind of a little bit too big, but at the same time, I just wanted to get it done. So I tried to not really cover anything up, but I just tried to really, when I did the outline and to accent all of the different parts of the strawberry, I just made sure that looked decent or looked nice. I don't know. This part was just all kind of like a blur to me. This was not my favorite, to be really honest. And I also did my best not to mix colors. I didn't want to mix any of the colors, because I can't remember what it's going to say now. I didn't want to mix any of the colors. I wanted to keep the colors as true as possible, so that way, like if you purchased this kit or you bought this kit and you wanted to recreate these or recreate one of them or whatever the case may be, then you would be able to recreate them without having to do any mixing. I did end up doing mixing on the kiwi, and you will see that in the next part of this, but I did leave some of this in real time, like for example this part, because this is really tedious and it was actually pretty hard to do, to try to get like the thin narrow like strawberry seeds. And yeah, you can see how I outlined it in pink now, and I just don't know. Like, I should have done the line on the strawberry in pink, and after I was looking at them all together, I mean, it kind of grew on me, but at the same time, or maybe, like I mentioned, like outline them in that light green, just so it really stood out and popped all the way around the nail, and it would look more similar to the rest of the nails design-wise, and kind of tie it all in. So there are some things that, I mean, I obviously am human, so I make mistakes, and I know there are some things that I could do better. But I honestly, my nail art has really stepped up from where I started. Like when I started, I thought I was really good, and then now I look back at some of that stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was awful. Like it just looks horrible to me. But and you know, I usually am my own worst critic. Like I'm not too hard on myself. I still think these turned out pretty nice and like pretty cool for what they were, but it is what it is. So now we're getting into the kiwi, and I had to do quite a few layers of this green as well because it is pretty transparent. So I also did 3 layers of this, and then I remembered that I was using matte top coat, and matte top coat tends to make colors that are more transparent a little more opaque when you use it. So I wasn't too hard on myself about that, but this color is beautiful even though it is a little bit see-through. Like I mentioned, I use this on every single one of the nails except for the grapes, and it was just really, really cool. Really love that color. And then as I was doing the outline, I was like, wow, this is giving me like caramel apple vibes. Like those caramel apple pops are my favorite, you guys. I love that candy so much. And yeah, so I was like, man, should I do a kiwi or should I do an apple now? Like this, this is like a caramel apple with drips and stuff like that. Like that would have worked better if I would have stuck with the drip design that I did in my previous video, but I didn't. So anyway, fall is coming up, you guys. I'm ready for fall. I know it's the middle of July, but oh my gosh. And speaking of that, I hope everybody had a great 4th of July holiday weekend. And I also wanted to say congratulations to Sandra again for winning my giveaway, because I haven't done that yet and I should have. I apologize as well in advance if I haven't been getting back to my comments like I should be. It's my fault. I dropped the ball. But I've just had a lot of things going on personally in my own personal life. And yeah, just trying to, like I mentioned, get myself together and stay caught up watching other people's videos and stuff. I'm just a little burnt out. So this is the one color that I did mix that I mentioned before. I did put just a tiny bit of black in that brown that I used around the edge just to keep it a little darker and a little different, like real kind of more true to a kiwi. And then also I was like, you know what, let me just go in and outline this in black to make it stand out even more. So that's what I did. But other than that, everything else was like the true color. I didn't mix any of the other colors. So I thought it was pretty cool that I could pull this entire set off. And if I couldn't with color options of 45 colors, that would be honestly pretty bad. If I wasn't able to do this with 45 color options. So yeah, it is what it is. But I mean, like I mentioned, these brushes are amazing. They're perfect to do these lines with. One thing I will say about using these longer brushes is you definitely want to follow through with your line. Even if you're going to mess up, that's fine. You can fix that. You can wipe it off with rubbing alcohol and start over again. Cool. But don't, I shouldn't say you can't, but if you don't follow through with your line, what happens is the end of the brush, the bristles will poke into the nail and like get all the bristles won't get messed up, but I don't even know how to explain it. They kind of like jab your design and then mess up your line altogether. So yeah, just make sure you follow through with your lines, because it is hard once you lift up your brush and try to go back down. Like, it will mess up your line and your entire design. So just follow through with it, even if you go too far and make a mistake. That's all I have to say about that. And the grapes, I thought these purples were really, really beautiful as well. So I was like, I have to use those to make the grapes. And there wasn't much of a contrast. Like the contrast wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be. So I do show you how I go in and outline all of the grapes and different things like that. I did not cure this polish, like I did I did not do each grape individually, right? That would take way too long to cure between every single grape. But also before I cure, I outline the nail in this darker purple, because I wanted the outline to blend with the grapes on the side and have it look nice instead of bumpy, and have it all be clean around the edges, so you couldn't tell where the different grapes or bumps were that I made with my dotting tool. So yeah, that was the point of not curing in between every single grape. But it did give the nail some pretty cool texture. And this gel polish did cure all the way through, even with those big, thick, round circles. So then I just went in and I took this liner brush. I got a shorter one. I believe this is the 12 millimeter. And then I went around every single grape with black gel polish just to make it pop out a little bit more. And then I also go in and highlight it with a drop of white around each grape. And then I do my lines. So now that I have all of my nail art finished, I do go in and I wipe all of the nails with a lint-free wipe and some alcohol, so that way nothing smears when I go to put on my matte top coat, like the black doesn't run and different things like that, because they will smear when you use matte top coat. So or it depends on the brand, I guess. I didn't want to try it without doing that, we should say. So I did go in and matte these because I really love matte nails. I love a matte finish. I love shiny and matte. It just depends on the situation, but comic book nails definitely look, or pop art nails look better matte to me. So that's what I went with. And I did not do a set of these. This is not a set. I just did them for your viewing pleasure. So these are not for sale because I did not do a set of them, but I honestly would love a full set of like a different watermelon combinations. Like I mentioned, that's my favorite nail and I just really loved how it turned out. This top coat went on really well. It's not extremely thick and really, really like it. I cure my top coat for 2 minutes. That also helps alleviate some of the streaks in the matte top coat, but you can see how velvety and smooth that this top coat looks. So shout out to Rosalind for having an amazing matte top coat. So then I went in with this nude color from the kit that I received, and I really, really like this color. It's so pretty and it's such a beautiful nail bed color. And it just is such a great accent to these nails. And it didn't really matter because I do go in and I do use my ombre method where I use my sponge and the acrylic. Now, I tried to use this yellow and green and it did not show up. I had to do like multiple coats of gel polish still, like even though I use the acrylic to do the ombre. Yeah, it wasn't working. The pigment in the green and the yellow just was not picking up the way that I wanted it to, no matter how much I put on the sponge. It just wasn't working. I could not get it to stick, which is fine. That's not the gel polish's fault, right? Like it's not, technically you're not supposed to be just dabbing it with a sponge over and over a million times, but I thought it still turned out really cute because they still blended very well and it still looked nice and light in the middle with those two colors. So I really, really like that. And I think that ombre is like the cutest thing ever to do for comic book nails as well. So that's what I decided to go with to tie everything together on the thumbnail. And I thought that since I use the acrylic method with the acrylic and sponge method to do my ombre, that it would make it hard to do the lines, but it actually made it a little bit easier and actually helped to guide my brush and made my lines like really crisp. So I was really surprised by that as well. But it ended up looking really good and really cute. And I do go in and outline with this, the black and the white. So I want to thank you all so much for being the best part of my channel. Of course, we are nearing the end of the video, and I will show you guys pictures and videos of what all of these look like on my hands and all of the good things and the fun stuff. I didn't add any bling or anything fancy because I just feel like these nails really make a statement alone by themselves. But if you wanted to add bling, you're more than welcome to do so. But thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video.